And we're gonna call the meeting to order. I'm your committee chair representing Pinellas County. Let's go around the room, introduce our other members on the table here.
Jeff Gow, CD Dunedin Commission.
Richard Bennett, Commissioner, North Fredericton Beach.
Patty Reed, City Council for Pinellas Park.
I'm Brad Miller. I'm the CEO of PSTA.
Thank you, Brad. Now's the time for public comment. Do we have no public comment? Okay, now we'll go for our action items. First action item is to approve the August 17 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve the August 17th minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have an approval from Mr. Bennett, Commissioner Bennett. Second from Commissioner Gow. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up, we have Abhishek Dayal, who's gonna go over the land swap agreement with Clearwater and the transit center project there. Abhishek, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. My name is Abhishek Dayal, Director of Project Management. And joining me today is Elizabeth Fazio. She's a new project manager. She just joined my team a few months ago from Pittsburgh. And she's a project lead for this Clearwater Transit Center. And of course, she joined during really exciting times for the project, since we were very successful after several attempts to get the raised grant. So this item, which is, oh, there it is. This item is for action, and the action that we're requesting is authorize the CEO to execute a land swap agreement with City of Clearwater for the purpose of constructing the Clearwater Transit Center project. So to tell you more about this project, I'm going to ask Elizabeth to lead us off.
Okay. This land swap agreement basically contains the Park Street Terminal, which we currently have, for the land that is highlighted in the yellow with the green there, which is the land owned by the City of Clearwater. These parcels, we're going to try and swap these parcels out, and we're going to, part of the agreement, we are going to be able to use the Park Street Terminal until the multimodal transit center is built in completion and ready for operation, which is basically scheduled for the year 2025 currently. The facility will have many features. We're going to have 16 dedicated bus bays. 2 of the bus bays will be for 60-foot articulated buses. And then we are going to have 2 bays which will contain electric chargers for electric buses to charge during layovers if needed. And the latest and greatest technologies available, we're going to have for passengers to have the latest and greatest technology for the arrival and departure times of buses. And also state-of-the-art camera system, which Debbie and I were kind of talking about a little bit. Looking forward to that. We're also going to have an area for ride hailing, which is like Uber, Lyft, taxis to pick up and drop off passengers. We're going to have a little area for the micromodal devices for like bikes, e-scooters, that kind of thing if needed. And the building is also going to be designed and constructed using the LEED rating certification and rating system, which LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. So we're looking forward to that as well, which will produce us a green building and green design for the future. This project has many funding sources, one of which is actually the land swap agreement, the land swap with the City of Clearwater. And the additional funding, because it actually increased in cost, it was 34.4, now it's 44.5. And the additional funding that we need for the project, we are working with Pinellas County to try and obtain. So with that, I will turn it over to Abhishek if you have any questions. If not. Okay.
Thank you. And you'll notice in the list of funding sources, no PSTA. It's all federal and Pinellas County, FDOT. So we've put together a really good mix of funding sources for this project. So a little bit about the land swap agreement that we're working with the city of Clearwater on. The city, as Elizabeth mentioned, they will convey 3 parcels that make up the land where we'll build the project, located on Court and Myrtle. And then in return, PSTA will provide the land where Park Street Terminal currently sits on. And then understanding that it'll take some time for us to construct the facility, we'll still need to operate our bus system. So we'll actually lease back the Park Street site from the city and continue to operate our bus service from that facility until the project is completed. And then the city also wanted to make sure that we had all the funding secured for the project. The cost of the project did go up from when we applied for the raised grant. So the cost is now $44.5 million. So there is a requirement that we secure that additional funding before the city would essentially convey the property. So I know Debbie is leading the charge and working with Pinellas County to get us the remaining funding. And we do have that scheduled for a vote with Pinellas County Commission. Actually, these dates. So in any case, so we do have that scheduled for a discussion with the county in October to have that remaining funding secured and essentially complete the funding package. So the recommendation to the committee is to authorize the CEO to execute a land swap agreement with the city of Clearwater for the purpose of constructing the Clearwater Transit Center project. And with that, both Elizabeth and I would be happy to take any questions.
Rich, you have a question?
No, I'm all set.
How about you?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Commissioner
Well,
Dow?
first and foremost, I can't be any more excited about this project. And thank you for the lead design and going green on the building. Fantastic. It's forward thinking. I think it'll help us take PSTA from that 3rd tier level of transportation to a 1st tier. I'm very excited about that. With the increase in cost of the $4 million in securing funding, right now we're saying that on that list of funding mechanisms, that PSTA, we were proud that PSTA wasn't part of that. Is that going to remain, or is there the possibility that PSTA ends up?
Yeah. And to that point, while we don't have any of our capital money into this, we are taking FTA formula funds that would otherwise be used for other projects, and we program them into this project out of our formula funds to augment the discretionary. At this point in time, I don't see that, but we will find out when the bids come in. And right now, as Abhishek had mentioned, I'm working with the county on an interlocal agreement that will go to their board, the commissioners, on October 25th, and then to our board on October 26th. In there, it'll be used as, they're the last amount of money in the, what I call waterfall of money. So I will use everybody else's money, and to your point, I have to match certain things. So like with FDOT, $2.3 million that they have programmed for us, I have to match it with our local funds. They don't care if I get reimbursed from the county, but I'm going to have to upfront that.
Okay.
So-
And that makes sense. And so they want us to secure that $4 million before moving forward. What is the impact of that in this swap agreement? And we're moving forward with the swap, and if we can't secure the $4 million,
Yeah.
what happens at that point?
Well, and if I might. So this is the first step in the whole process. If the PSA board approves this next week, and then the city of Clearwater approves it the following week, then what this agreement says is then the closing on the 2 parcels, on the 2 properties, will happen 6 months later, so next spring. And so the city, largely the mayor wants to make sure that this is actually a project that PSTA can build, that we have enough money. So we really have until the closing to demonstrate that we have at least what the budget is. We have the revenues to pay for the project by next spring.
Okay.
Now, the good news is Debbie has done a great job with the Pinellas County executive and leaders, and they are going to take this stopgap funding agreement to the county commission for approval using county reserves up to $10 million to their board on October 25th. So we'll have met that threshold already for the city. So then I think the closing will happen with no problem. Yeah.
If there is any concern, please let us know. If we need to, please ask your board to reach out to the county
Yeah.
if you need us to, if that's a concern.
It's
Thank
coming
you.
out of the county reserve funds, which they are focused on. I think the county commission has discussion about lowering, or I don't know, maybe that's the right word, but they've had a lot of debate about that. They have a very large pot of reserve funds at the county.
Okay.
It's nice.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll raise our hand. We'll take some.
Thank you, that was a great presentation for both
I
of
have a
y'all.
quick question.
Oh, go ahead, Patty.
With us leasing the property while it's being built, that doesn't start till, that doesn't start till after the closing, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Right, so then and then, like, is it a stupid price or is it a
Good question.
fair price?
It's at $0 to
Okay.
PST.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would put that somewhere,
Which is a fair price.
Very political.
yeah.
Good question.
So, yeah, somewhere that we're getting a great deal at 0% interest.
I have a question on parking. People with their own vehicle, personal park, I'll give you an example, like when my wife and I go downtown a lot to St. Pete, we'll park at Grand Central because there's parking along there, and we can park our car for free, take the trolley downtown, not have to pay for parking downtown or anything like that because we ain't got a car down there. But what's the personal parking? Is there gonna be personal parking available anywhere in that realm near the transmodal center?
We are still looking at that as far as the design on how much room there is to include, personal parking.
Right.
We've talked to the city about, as you know, during spring break, we have certain areas in downtown
Right,
where
right.
people can park and jump
Right.
on a shuttle.
Right.
So we're still working with the city on the design aspects of how
Okay.
that parking could be. Or it makes more sense to maybe have a shared parking lot with the city so that the unused portions can be utilized for our patrons.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Heather Sovich and I met with the city manager of Clearwater last week, and talked about that, especially
good.
the need during spring break,
Right.
for people to park their car on the mainland to get over to the beach.
Right, right, right.
Because we have extra trolleys during spring break and everything.
Right, right, right.
We'll go from this center over, so he knows that. I mean, I know that the city is building a new parking garage.
By a church,
Yes,
Yeah.
right, on
Prince of Peace.
Osceola.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be losing the city hall
Right,
parking.
right, right.
And they've already lost all the parking that was down below because of the Imagine Clearwater project. So, yeah, we're in the hunt for parking.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we can accommodate those folks, because it's a super selling point to use public transit instead of clogging up the beach with cars.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. That's all I have. Anything else, gang? Do we have to vote? We gotta vote on this, don't we? Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the transfer of the land swap agreement.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second?
We have a second by Commissioner Gal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for good work. We
Thank
look
you.
forward to
Thank
this.
you.
I just wanted to point one thing out. We are to celebrate our coordination with the city of Clearwater. We do have an event planned for October 7th. We were going to have a slide on that, wasn't there. But you all are invited, October 7th at 10 o'clock at the downtown Clearwater, and this is going to be at the Court and Myrtle site. And many of you were there last year to help us support the project, so please do come.
Thank you, thank you. Brad, Mayor Hibbard won't be mayor will he be mayor next year? Frank Hibbard?
He will be the mayor next year, yes,
Oh, okay.
2024.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All righty, thank you. Let's move on to the next item, which also is Abhishek and Al Burns. The Sunrunner Project Management Construction Management Services Contract Amendment. And we'll talk about a contract amendment with HDR for Sunrunner. Abhishek, again?
Yes, again, good morning. Abhishek Dayal, Director of Project Management. So first off, we're super excited about the opening of Sunrunner next month, and getting ready for the festivities and the opening on October 20th and 21st. I hope you all will come and help us celebrate this momentous occasion. We just recently heard that the FTA administrator from Washington DC, she will be coming as well to help celebrate. So we're super excited to have her, celebrate this achievement. I was in DC, at a workshop a few weeks ago that FTA invited me to talk about Sunrunner. And I did report to the group that the project is going to be under budget. So especially during the inflation times, this is almost unheard of. So I'm really pleased to report that to the group here. We still have a few items that are remaining as we get ready to open the service next month. We have HDR, who's providing all the construction management services. As part of that contract, they are doing testing, evaluation of several of the technology elements of the project. And then once the project is complete, they will be working with the contractor to close out their contract, establish warranties, work with our procurement team to provide all the documentation, and then also with FTA staff to provide their documentation for closing out the grant. So that's why we do need to amend their contract for a couple of months of work beyond opening that they will be working on. So the request is to amend their contract to add another $300,000 for those activities beyond project opening. The cost or the budget for that will all come from the project budget, that from the savings that I just talked about. So I will not be asking Debbie for any funds to amend this contract. It's all coming out of the contingency and the project budget.
Okay.
So
Any additional funds?
with
Good.
that, I'm happy to take any questions.
We're happy not to give any money.
Back to FTA.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, no, that's good. Good news, good news. Any questions?
And it's
Anybody?
October
Pat?
20th and 21st?
Yes, 20th is the ribbon cutting, and the 21st is the first official service start.
They only have it sent to me for the 21st.
Really?
I'm looking at the calendar now.
Gotta fix that.
Thank you.
I thought we were also sent the October 7th thing in Clearwater, but
Nope, it's not in there either.
yes, Thursday, October 20th in the afternoon is the ribbon cutting and the inaugural first run that you all hopefully will be able to come to. Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock in downtown St. Petersburg. And then the inaugural run will then be on the Sunrunner lanes from downtown St. Pete to the beach, to the Dolphin Beach Resort, where we're having a little reception.
On what?
And then there'll be Sunrunner buses that'll take you back.
It's on the same day? On the 20th?
Yeah, on the 20th, Thursday the 20th,
At 2.
2 o'clock, yeah. Then 6 a.m., Friday the 21st is when
Bingo.
Bingo, Sunrunner It's open to everybody.
How about that, huh?
Yeah. Should be good.
All righty, we gotta vote on this thing too. Do I have a motion to approve the amendment with HDR?
I'll move that we approve the amendment for the Sunrunner services.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bennett, a second from Commissioner Gao. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, again. And thank you, Al Burns, wherever you may be.
He's a
He's at FEMA training.
He's out and he's very, very motivated.
They probably don't know
If
what.
FEMA can motivate you, anything can motivate. We have a claim settlement, and Diane's gonna run us through that, and we appreciate it, Diane, so there you go.
Thank you. Diane Randall, Director of Risk Management, here this morning to obtain approval for a claim settlement in the amount of $110,000 with Brenda McCray Murphy. This accident occurred on February 2nd, 2018, when Ms. McCray Murphy was the restrained driver of a vehicle that was rear-ended by one of our buses. As a result of the accident, she sustained injuries to her low back and neck, and surgery has been recommended. She has not had it yet, but it has been recommended. Medical expenses to date are approximately $147,300, and the fiscal impact is that this settlement is within our established claim file reserves. The sustainability impact is that this case is in litigation, so it's currently scheduled for trial the week of October 24th. By settling, we end all exposure and avoid additional defense costs. So my recommendation today is that we approve the settlement in the amount of $110,000 with Brenda McCray Murphy to be on the consent agenda for the September board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Any question?
I'll recommend that we approve the $110,000 for the
Okay.
claim settlement.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend the approval of the claim settlement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Bennett, a second from Commissioner Gao. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, none. That motion passes. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you very much.
Debbie, you're next.
All right.
And we want you to review some financial policies, please.
Very exciting, very exciting. We have 3 policies that we bring to this committee as an information item every year, and it's our reserve policy, liability debt management policy, and investment policy. After review of the policies, we have no recommendations for any changes, so I just entertain any questions, if any. No action is necessary.
Well, it doesn't appear we have any questions.
All right, that's overly exciting. And I'm going to introduce the next one for Julie,
Okay, we're done with this one, right?
I think, unless there's any more questions?
No.
Oh.
Okay, under the reports, monthly financial, and I take it.
I'm gonna give her the intro on this. As you may recall, we are taking our COVID relief funds and we're moving them into the future years. At the last committee meeting that we had, Commissioner Schulman had made a recommendation, could we even spread them out a little bit more? So we did take a look at that, and we will be doing that and taking our COVID relief funds, moving them into fiscal '23 and also into '24. That also helps keep us in a balanced budget, albeit slim, for the next 2 years. And what we're going to do is we're drawing down some money from FDOT. And it has an impact on our budget this year because we will come in way under as far as the revenues go as it relates to the COVID relief funds. So last month, we tried one approach to showing this. This month, we tried a different approach. Next month, we'll do yet a different one, because when we went, Julie and I always do a nice little dry run. And I concluded if our goal was to confuse anybody, we've succeeded. So what I'm going to have Julie do is run through and tell us about how we're doing ignoring the COVID relief funds, and then kind of come back to that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Julie.
Thank you, Debbie. So, looking at the reports for the month of July, we finished with a net deficit in total now of 14.8 million, which was 13.8 million unfavorable to budget. Clearly, the reason for this is what Debbie was just speaking to. So what I'm going to do is go over the revenue and expenses, ignoring the COVID relief funds, just to show you how we're doing as an authority. So for July, with that being said, we finished 1.7 million unfavorable to budget. About 800,000 of that is attributed to salaries and fringes, partly due to us being fully staffed right now. We filled all the positions that we were supposed to. We had a very high driver's class in July. So all of that attributed to it. 566,000 is attributed to an unbudgeted change in methodology for recording our general and liability expense, and we first spoke about this back in April. So while we're unfavorable to budget, we're now consistent with the actuarial recommendation year to date. In the past, you would have seen a large increase in September at the end of the year, but now we are, instead of doing it in a lump sum, we're now accounting for it monthly as it happens. So, but that's why you're seeing a larger number there. For the July year-to-date, we finished 102,000 favorable to budget. Operating revenue in total is 423,000 unfavorable to budget, and that's helped by expenses being 320,000 favorable to budget, so it's kind of netting there. While fuel is unfavorable to budget by 1.2 million, savings in purchase transportation and services is helping balance that out, so we're not seeing as large a hit in the expenses. And staff is continuing their cost containment up through now with 2 weeks left to fiscal year 22 here. So, does anyone have any questions on July?
Any questions, y'all?
No.
I see MOD was way up, however,
Are you looking at the ridership?
I'm looking at the very first page, the expenses. Purchase
yeah.
transportation, MOD was 78% over. However, I'm sure we're within budget based on what's going on with access is below, so
Right.
that balances itself out. No, I was on the first page again. We're on the second now, or the third, or the fourth, or fifth.
Oh, I see, yes.
Which page are we on right now?
Well, we were on the second page.
Okay, second.
So, but you're good to ask any question on any page you
Thank
like.
you. Thank you. Okay, I'm good.
Thank you.
Are you good?
I'm good.
You
Are
good?
you ready to move on to the
Ridership.
other data?
Let's move on to, thank you very much for that, both of you and Debbie. Brad, do you want to take us through this newly revised,
Well, sadly, it's not newly revised.
well,
One
okay.
more month.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us through this ridership report?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be hopefully the last time we have the old version, because now we have the new and improved version coming your way, which will show some trends,
Okay,
which will be nice. But as you were just pointing out, Chair Cox,
yes.
the big trend this year in access is that the access ridership has been going has been flat or going down, flat. Well, it's about 100 different than it was. But the mobility on demand ridership has gone way, way up. Overall, when you combine the two, we're up about 25% in ridership. And I think this month, in total, I gotta go back and check the record, but I think we might be close to an all-time high.
Really?
Yeah. Just total number of trips taken on access and mobility on demand.
Right.
It's really good. Our ridership was also flat, right around flat compared to a year ago. And if you look about a third down the page, you can see that anytime a percent growth is greater than 100%, I first say to myself, it may be wrong. Maybe it's not calculated correctly, but the UPass ridership is way up
Yeah.
from a year ago. And maybe that is Pinellas County Schools, I don't know.
Is there,
We gotta check.
there has to be a way to monitor and track that. I don't know. But
Devin, do you have any feeling for that number? I don't know if you've looked at that number at all.
No, I know that we have we're really grappling with finding a way to track that data with Pinellas County Schools right now, but we don't have any accurate way to give you any solid numbers that would be true.
Oh, Commissioner Guy, you're talking about like which schools or where that ridership is happening?
Oh, well, the more detail, the better, but if you can't get it by school, then certainly by school system, right? So Pinellas County Schools in general.
Oh, yeah.
So there's not a way to track which ones are coming from the school, the rides coming from the schools?
Right now, we have UPass, we have several UPass contracts with St. Pete College, now Pinellas County Schools. Those are each of them have 30,000 plus students that all can use their ID badge to ride for free. And then USF St. Pete is half the size. And we have got a number of small private schools as well. And then we have kind of the same kind of program, but with businesses, we call CPass. And those are with almost every hotel along the beach, mainly, and some other businesses around the community. And they all just get coded manually by the bus driver. When the person gets on the bus and shows their student ID, they press a button. They press a single button. Now, what we've done in the past is do like sampling, where for 1 month or something, the drivers will either use a little clicker and say, okay, you're St. Pete College, you're Pinellas County Schools, that kind of thing. Something we can use stuff like that.
No,
And then maybe in addition, all of the PSA buses have something called an automatic passenger counter on it, which is a laser beam that records ons and offs, and it's tied to GPS location of every bus stop. So we can, with some effort, go in and look at the locations of the Pinellas County Schools and see how many people are getting on and off there, and see if that's gone up. Obviously, that's not necessarily guaranteed that they're going to school, but it's an indication to your students. Yeah.
With our relationship with St. Pete College, for example, or USF St. Pete, because the Pinellas County School, that's kind of a new relationship, so let's talk about the existing and what we might be doing there. Within, all that they're doing is showing their student ID, so it's not like a Flamingo where they've got to wave it or
Tap it,
whatever
yeah.
and tap it. It's strictly a manual process.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can work with those entities to either to somehow connect Flamingo to their student ID card?
Yes.
And
that is the
if
goal.
so, are we working towards that?
I hope so. Yes. There are new and emerging ways in which systems are connecting, because we're not the only city in the world that has deals with the colleges and schools and things like that. So hopefully there will be a way in the future that you will be able to type in the Flamingo app. You will pull down a drop-down and said, I'm a St. Pete College student, here's my student ID number, and then it'll look up in some kind of database, and say, okay, yeah, Brad, you are a student, you get to ride for free. And then I will tap my phone, just like everybody, but it'll be free. It won't charge me. That's the idea.
Who's driving that train or bus? Sorry. Who's?
That electric bus.
That is where we need to go, but unless there's somebody that is focused on it, and I don't know whether that, say it's somebody from Flamingo or somebody from PSTA, I don't know who it is.
Well, and the biggest challenge that we have with the Flamingo Affairs Program, we do, Abhishek's project management office we've got project managers for Flamingo that are working very hard on that.
Okay, sweet.
The creation of the Flamingo Fair System was a regional project with PSTA and Hart and Pasco County and other counties. It's kind of dwindled, but it's still, the contract is not with PSTA, that's the problem. It's with Hart. And so it's been challenging. I mean, we're making improvements, but there's a slow going, I would say, because of that difficult relationship that we don't really have direct access to the vendor to make those, to, push them to get that UPass connection going.
Easy for me to say, but if we can ask Hart to either lead or get out of the way, would be appreciated. I know that's a little more complicated. I understand it.
Yes, yeah.
So can I ask a question? I'm new here, so I'll preface by that. And I think we have amazing people. I've seen him on some other stuff, and I love her. So so with the buses, our program is actually owned by somebody else, by Hart. Is that correct?
The Flamingo Fair program, which is a tap card or an app where you can scan your phone on a reader that's on the buses.
But it's not ours.
And make your payment. That whole system it was developed by a company called Init, INIT, and that contract with Init is actually with Hart over in Tampa. We have, PSTA in turn has an interlocal agreement with Hart and with Pasco. It's called the Regional Working Group for Flamingo. And that's how we can only make improvements, is by talking to Hart as the contract owner of that to make improvements that we need on the Flamingo fairs for our customers.
So we're kind of captive with them. So
Yeah.
is there a goal with PSTA to be our own, have our own, that we take care of it in-house and that we have the technology in-house and we're not captive of somebody else?
We've talked about that, it's like instead of a flamingo where you create a pelican. That would be very expensive to do, to stand that up. We've invested quite a bit in Flamingo, but we've looked at that option, possibly. Still my hope that we can create a better relationship, or maybe a new relationship, or perhaps maybe PSA takes the lead instead of Hart takes the lead on Flamingo and keep what we've already invested going. And I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there it's very important on the CPAS and UPass programs to get those integrated with Flamingo.
Because I think as we move forward and we have such we're making such leaps and bounds, and you've got these new things coming that we're trying to grow so much. And in my opinion, as far as even in businesses and so forth, is that you kind of maintain it and get the numbers you need and where we need to focus and not really rely on somebody else to control what we're allowed to do and what information we get and how we get it. So, like, how will we end up getting, if we, like he said, tell them to get out of the way, or we take over our own and work out a deal with them or something. My opinion, I'm new here, so
Yeah.
it may be reaching way out there, but I just like when you're talking about us on this side of the water, that we are pretty amazing and that we should be the forerunners in creating whatever other people would want to follow
Exactly.
our program. So just a thought of how we could reach that.
That's good, Patty.
Yeah.
Along that line too, with the capabilities of Flamingo, I know Flamingo can't be used with MCAT. They don't participate, am I correct? Manatee County?
No.
Correct.
Okay, but SCAT does, right? Do they participate or not?
Not anymore.
No longer. No
Okay.
longer.
Can I use my Flamingo card on Hart?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
but not on the ferry, right?
Not on the ferry, no, not yet.
Okay, not on the
But
ferry.
that's certainly possible.
And Pasco.
Pasco was in, they dropped out, but I just met their brand new manager who
Uh-huh.
who came from Hernando County,
Uh-huh.
which is in,
Right.
surprisingly.
And,
And she is very pro Flamingo, so she is, I think I might be able to woo her back into
I mean,
the flock.
Very
To,
good.
to me, as a bus rider, you know, and I know that, you know, we have these connections, because people have to get up to Pasco for things and stuff like that, so they have to go in and buy another ticket or, you know, whatever. And likewise on MCAT, I know we don't really have that great a, you know, and I'm not blaming anybody on this, but I know that there's not that good of because we tried to get an MOU with Manatee and it didn't work. And so I'd really like to see improvements on that too, I really would, because for Flamingo to work correctly, it's regional, and regional stuff is what gets us money too. If we're together as a region, not that we're not good at getting money, because we're good at getting money, you know, and but we can always improve. And so I know that's on your agenda.
It is, Flamingo is a key priority. It'll be even a bigger priority moving forward because of Sunrunner.
Uh-huh.
Sunrunner will not take cash.
Right, right.
It will only take Flamingo.
Right, and first 6 months, we'll.
First 6 months is free, so we've got a lot of
Right,
work
right, we got a
to
lot
do
of
in 6 months
leeway
to figure this all
to
out.
get that figured out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything more, Mr. Miller?
Oh, and then in addition, in your packet is the access reports numbers, and those are
Yeah, let's look at-
looking pretty good.
Let's look at that, I like looking at those.
I know, that's why I read it up. You can see the little uptick in ridership there, in the ridership graph at the top. And then the complaints is the next line.
Right.
Yeah, and that next trend that you see. And that is about the same as it was last month. And again, we've created a new, on the phone tree, when you call in for to request a ride, if you want to leave a complaint, there's a standalone button that you press. So we think and that just launched in July. So we think that perhaps that we're just tracking the complaints a little bit better. Is more of that. But on-time performance is staying strong despite the increase in ridership. So we're happy about that.
I see we still aren't paying our user, not our user, but our.
We're still not hitting the.
Spare lab. Spare lab, and I understand we had consultants in town recently, and David and Christian. And can you tell me, are they still here, or is any one of them here? Are they still working on this, or what? What was the result of them being here? Can you tell me what the result of the consultant?
James, you can correct me or add to it. I mean, I think they were here too, and I think it was just David this go around.
Okay.
Just to kind of help us take a look at the way First Transit was dispatching managing the trips and the number of employees that they had doing that function, number of drivers that they had on the different shifts, interacting with the software. And I think they're going to provide some recommendations. They were here.
Yeah, that's essentially it. They were here, I think, the week before last. I'm actually meeting with David Ritchell today, 11:15, actually, just to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's mainly operational efficiencies.
Right.
So it's just going to look at dispatch, how they're using the scheduling software, and just to see in the dwell time if there was any more that our physical folks could be doing to ensure, we're operating as efficiently as we can and being as effective as we can, kind of rerouting folks and.
My question would be, knowing I've met both Dave and I've met both
Sure.
Christian, they're both very competent people, super competent people. And my question would be, to David, what was his reaction to a dispatch system that won't dispatch?
Sure.
I mean, what was the reaction to, it? What was his reaction?
Yeah, well, I'll ask him today. I know his eyes mainly were how the people were moving in concert with each other, even when they weren't on screens. So, how you're preparing for pullout, lunch breaks, that type of thing.
Yeah, I understand we're
Yeah.
making some progress with the optimization of driver breaks, which they need to have.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the actual dispatch of an individual that's a dispatcher, being able to dispatch a ride and say, wait a minute, somebody's not ready, I'll take you off that ride and put you on another ride.
Sure, yeah.
And that'll work. So based on his knowledge, his experience, I was just wondering what his thoughts were on the current system we have right now. So
I hope to find out a little bit more today.
please find out, and
Absolutely.
I'd really welcome having a little bit of insight on that. That's all I got.
James, myself, several people just got back yesterday from the Florida Public Transit Conference down in lovely Naples.
Right.
And I was on a panel presenting about, with Julie Cagliostro, our IT director, about our whole PSA access
Uh-huh.
program.
Uh-huh.
And there was a woman from Spare also on our panel talking about how things are going.
Uh-huh.
The regional vice president for First Transit was in the front row,
Right.
staring me down. No, I think it was, the reaction from the audience was great. Everybody's very enamored with what we're doing. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, trying to provide better mobility to from the traditional paratransit model. So they're very, very interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have heard me enough on this, so I'm a little laid back. I'm gonna believe someday it's gonna work, so, the way I want it to work, right? And not necessarily is exactly right, but, I got a little experience with it. So, it looks like we're at the end of our agenda.
One more item.
Does any other committee member have any other business to bring before the committee?
Debbie has a little presentation to make,
Oh,
but
good.
should we adjourn the meeting?
Yes, you can adjourn the meeting if you like.
Okay, good, yeah.
This meeting is adjourned. Now it's Debbie's time.
What I'd like to do is invite up Tom Haya, Gavin Veal, Carlos McIvy, David Hensler, Commissioner Betty, if you'd like, or you can stay seated.
You're a veteran.
Excuse me?
You're a veteran.
Oh, okay.
Every third Friday in September is POW MIA Day.